Not too long ago, I built and placed the Lego Botanical Garden modular building, which is built using 2 of the Lego Friends Botanical Garden sets, and also the instructions from rebrickable.com that were created by Brick Artisan. Looks pretty good here, but I think I need to make some changes to it. So I just placed it in the Lego City here. I didn't really, place it properly. It's centered between 1.5 base plate spot here in the Lego City. So we've got 8 studs on that side available and 8 studs on this side available for sort of blending it into the spot. So that's what I'm gonna work on today. However, unfortunately, I pretty much need to rebuild the whole thing. Not really rebuild, I guess, but like transfer it, because I built the Botanical Garden modular building on a Mills plate, which is 1 brick and 1 plate off the base plate, right? Well, it turns out that essentially the whole build is a Mills plate. So right now, the building is actually 2 bricks and 2 plates off the base plate, so it doesn't really blend in with the surrounding area. So I've got to transfer it onto a base plate. And I figured, you know what? While I do that, why not make some modifications to the actual build? And rather than giving it 1 plate, which it's currently sitting on, why not give it 1.5 plates? And then I'm going to give this thing, or that's going to give this thing a little bit more breathing room on either side, the 8 studs. And I'm going to be able to make some modifications to it so it just looks a little bit better here in the Lego City and has a little bit more breathing room, right? But you know what? I'm actually pretty excited to make some changes to this building because it's pretty tight. For example, how can a minifigure pass by this bench and this sign right here and go through this door? There's not really space for that. So I think the additional space that I'm going to give this build will truly benefit it. And maybe when I make these changes, I'll also change up some of the interior details because some of the plants are sort of replicated inside the build. For example, there's succulents in this little section over here, and there's also succulents over here. So maybe I'll be able to make some modifications to some of the plant life inside as well. Here's a quick shot of the Lego Botanical Garden modular building before I make these changes. And now we're going to get to work and then we'll check out the after. So first things first, it's a pretty intense surgical procedure here. Just have to remove all of those green 4x4 plates that are like attached to the base of this thing, and it's a little bit more difficult than removing it from, say, a base plate, just because they don't have any like give. They're very rigid. But in the end, it was not too bad. Some of the water in the front of it had to be like rebuilt based on the instructions, just because those tiles and jumpers were literally stuck to the plates. I just could not transfer it cleanly, so I had to redo it all. And you know what? It wasn't a big deal because there were some curved plates there that had to be replaced anyway, so it was all good in the end. So yeah, I've got the additional 8 studs of space on either side, and I start to plate that off using Mills plate, just brick and plate. First I do it in like the regular green, base plate green color, then I'm like, no, that's got to change because this set is based on tan, so I want to change it to tan. It just makes more sense to do that. And then once the tan is laid, I decide to do a perimeter of grass, which will actually be 1 plate higher than the rest of it. And then I have this like tan walkway almost. What am I going to do with the tan walkway? Well, I'm going to cover it with hundreds of the dark bluish gray quarter round circular tiles, just because those do a great job of adding like a pathway. And the neat thing is you can actually see the tan between those tiles. So it looks pretty cool. You know what? I found these on the pad wall and I'm using them a lot in my Lego City. Really happy that I was able to find those in the pad wall, but tiling with them is a sort of a nightmare just because they're 1x1s. So it takes a long time to do. And I'm actually putting them all in the same direction. So getting them all orientated the same way just takes a little bit longer to do. But after the pathway is all tiled off, it's time to add some vegetation to the area. So I actually add a couple planters in the back left corner there, put my trees back in place, get my benches off to the side, and then just start adding a bunch of custom vegetation. And I actually decided to make it symmetrical. So the same flowers on the left and right side. I just think that looks good, and it sort of matches with the interior and also with the pond. So yeah, I decided that I'm going to keep the interior the same just because I think this being a symmetrical building, everything should be symmetrical. That being the building, the vegetation, the pond, the tiling, the benches. I just think it makes sense to make this thing symmetrical because that's sort of what the original design is. In addition to upgrading and placing the Botanical Garden set, I also want to try making one quick change to the Birch Bookshop as well. Recently I doubled the size of it, and I think there might be an easy way to make it look even better. I'm really happy with it. That additional space just sort of made it come alive with more vegetation and more color, right? So yeah, the only thing that's not symmetrical about it is the size difference between this tree and that tree. Maybe I should try and make them match. But the original set, it wasn't matching either. Well, like the original rebrickable model that we put together. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks pretty good, hey? So yeah, here's some custom flowers that I did on this side here. It uses the large magenta flowers, then some of the like leaf elements, I put those upside down and then held them in place using like one of the modified 1x1s with like the little like almost like nipple on the end, I guess. And then also I put a 1x1 on the bottom of that, like a circular plate. And then I was able to put it between the studs so they're evenly distributed there before the bench. And then there's 3 of these regular flowers. Well, not regular flowers, like the large ones. And they have like the leaf elements. So it's the same leaf elements as those, but I flipped these ones upside down. So there's actually 6 of them. There's 3 on either side of this nice like flowered bush that I use in the city, but I decided to add some cylinders to make it taller. So it's like a little mini tree. And then back here, there's some purple flowers on top of some bamboo. So I think that looks pretty nice. Also, I decided to make this like oval shaped planter in the corner just to get rid of that harsh corner there. And I added some pink flowers to the base of that tree there inside that planter. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. And then I also really like this here. It's pretty basic, like it's just the leaf elements sitting on top of regular green flowers. And then I just staggered some flowers on top using some more of those green flowers. So there's a red flower, pink flower, or 2 of them, and then also one of the like bright yellowish orange flowers or whatever they are. Yeah, and they're nicely staggered there, right below the tree that came with the set. And then it's the exact same on this side. So yeah, like I was mentioning, I decided that symmetry, I think, does this set like well. I think it looks good, right? We've got these magenta flower frog flowers and also the bonsai tree there. And then it's a symmetrical building, so having it the same on either side looks good. And I'm really happy with the way that this path turned out. It is dark gray, doesn't really match the colors, but I think it's good to get some like neutral sort of darker colors amongst all of this color. I decided not to tile off the interior, A, because I didn't want to reach my fingers in there. It would be highly annoying to do that. And B, I just don't think it needs to be tiled off in the interior. Now, originally I was thinking, well, not originally, but I thought it crossed my mind to maybe bring the door here and put a door there so it's street access, but I think it makes sense to have the path go through this beautiful garden. You can go around back or you can come through the door on either side. Yeah, so there we go. Pretty nice, hey? Oh yeah, I took a little before video, right? So this is it in its original rebrickable model state on top of the Mills plate. And then here is the after. So I definitely think that the Botanical Garden Modular Building benefited from the additional 16 studs and also from all of the colorful vegetation around the exterior of the building. And I can't wait to place it in the Lego City. So let's take care of that right now. I'm pretty satisfied with the position of it over here in the Lego City. It sort of matches all of these other Lego Friends rebrickable models / remocks of mine. Pretty happy with that, and it's right by the farm as well. And the pathways leading up to the front door match up nicely with the sidewalk there. Everything's at the same height, so that looks good. And just the updated vegetation makes it look a lot more colorful. I've been saying this a lot lately. I've been meaning to upgrade this area over here with some updated vegetation. And maybe I need to add some more colorful flowered trees in this area as well. Just sort of grabbing inspiration from this and using a lot more colorful leaves on all of these trees over here. And I think that will blend really well with the area. One thing I could do is flip this the other way and have it facing that way. And then have the farmer's market over here. Or I could leave it where it is and eventually build the farmer's market right there. I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get there. The nice thing about this building right now is that it is 1.5 base plates and it's a modular building. It can pretty much be put beside other modular buildings or moved around as it is, because nothing really extends past the base plate limits other than this little tree here. I had to slide this one over half a stud just to make it fit, but I could just make some slight modifications to that tree so that it does stay within the boundaries of the base plate, just like I did. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, and now I want to make some minor alterations to the Birch Bookshop. So here's the building before the changes, and here it is after. Nothing major, just switched up those pillars between the windows and also the door. Switched them from light gray to nougat. Well, they were actually these modified snot bricks, and I put tiles on the studs that were facing us, and I switched it to nougat. Originally, I was just thinking like, oh yeah, maybe I should try and do something cool, and then I didn't know what to put on those like studs that were facing outward on the snot bricks there. I did try nougat like when I was building this, and I didn't really like it, but now seeing the finished product, I think it looks better with nougat between the windows and also the arched doorway there, just because it matches the other floors. So sometimes less is more. Now we have the light gray on the exterior, which nicely frames the building, and its primary color in the interior is all nougat, which sort of makes more sense because, I don't know, it just sort of looks more cohesive now. I think the light gray on the bottom was just sort of random, and I like the outcome of this. And hey, would you look at that? I also switched up the colorful bricks so they're light gray. Ooh, I didn't do it here or here though. Uh-oh, hey, you know what? I should maybe switch up the back here and make it green. But maybe I'll just put another layer of plate because this is actually sitting on the dark gray. And then the green plate would match up with the grass on the back side of the townhouses. But you don't really see this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The only time you see it is when I point it out, right? But yeah, when that's placed in the Lego City, it definitely looks better with the nougat. That was a good choice. You know, I was trying to be fancy, but no, I don't think so. In that case, less is more. Yeah, there we go, everybody. We got the Birch Bookshop updated there, and also the Botanical Garden placed in the Lego City. Looking pretty amazing. What am I going to be working on next? Probably the amusement park, or maybe the farmer's market, or maybe something else. I don't know yet. Probably the amusement park, though. I've been meaning to start this project. Well, not start it, but continue working on this project for quite some time. So things like the hedge fences, those are going to get upgraded, and also some of the back walls are going to be constructed as well. And then I might start doing the tiling as well. Just one thing at a time, every day, slowly but surely, the Lego City comes together. It's a process, and I quite enjoy it. Glad that I was able to get the Botanical Garden done today, and also make those changes to the Birch Bookshop. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff, and farewell.